Ummi Bashir is the Vice Chairperson of the National Elections Board of UDA. We saw over the weekend, for example, Ummi, UDA announcing that you have arrived at some consensus on those who are seeking the nomination certificates for, say, Nairobi, where Johnson Sakaja will run as the UDA and then also Kenya Kwanza candidate for Nairobi as governor, Bishop Margaret Wanjiru as senator, and the woman rep is Millicent Omanga. And this is after conversations that took place behind the back room. You're allowed to do so by law, but what makes you determine where you want to have conversations and where you want to subject people to a nomination exercise?
Great. Thank you for having me. Eric, first of all, it's good to note that all political parties in Kenya and also globally have are more or less like a members club, where the rules and regulations that guide the party or the club. For us, we are guided by our constitution, and of course, you have to be a member of our party to actually follow those rules. So we have Article 31 in our constitution, which guides us on how to go about our nominations. We have the universal suffrage, we have the electoral college, and we also have what we call the automatic nominations. We don't have indirect nominations. So for us, the board, the National Election Board, is also the main body that deals with nominations, elections. So whatever the board deems fit is what we go by as a party in terms of nominations. And for us, what you call it negotiated democracy, but we call it, it's more of it's a consensus, like a democratic consensus. That's what we call it. For what happened the other day with Sakaja and team, you see, first of all, I'll not rewrite what happened the other day. We also, the presser, you had the speeches, everyone spoke. And these negotiations took place way before they were aired in Karen. Karen at the DP's office is more of from an optics angle. What happens is this is done, a lot of negotiations are done behind the curtains. And by the time they're getting to the DP and he's publicly announcing them, it shows that, actually, with all the aspirants present, it shows that they have accepted, they've sat down and they have seen that this is the right way to go. And for us as a party, we want to bag all the seats. And for us to do that, the more we don't compete within ourselves, the better. For Kenya Kwanza, for, people from other parties to come on board and decide, this is the right way to go, is big. For instance, Sakaja, first of all, came from Jubilee and went directly directly to UDA. He's never been part of ANC. He's never been a member of ANC. Just because he's working or he's friends with Musalia, it's like saying Ruto works with Musalia, so is Ruto, a member of ANC. So this aspect of him being part of ANC, then he's jumping ship, and now he's in UDA, is neither here nor there. So for us, we want to win in every electoral seat across the country. So
you're seeking the best way to get your best candidates on the positions.
Because Ummi, does your party also have an accommodation for direct nominations?
We have what we call automatic nominations. That basically means where there's no competition, where there are no two aspirants in a particular electoral seat going for a particular electoral seat, then automatically we have one person who we will issue the certificate to. But in politics, it's always good to learn from your mistakes, but it's even wiser to learn from your opponent's mistakes. I'll go back to 2017, where a place like Langata, NASA had about 4 aspirants going for that seat. Jubilee, on the other hand, had only 1 person. And you see what happened. So for us, we encourage consensus because we want to win. The whole point of this is to ensure that we bag as many seats as possible. And for us to do that is to encourage consensus, to encourage, negotiations wherever it deems fit. Places like Northeastern, we're not even having nominations there, our primaries, because they sit under a tree and they decide. The community decides. This is the way we're going to go. And it has proven to be effective because now it's being used by political parties all over the country. So we take that example from Northeastern, where I come from. And another issue is the universal suffrage. You see, that is what we're going to do now come the 14th. Our elections will only be one day. And we're going to do it one day because we are more than confident. We are ready. We keep repeating these free and fair nominations. We're going to be free, we're going to be fair. But this time round, UDA is more than ready to prove that, to implement that. So,
let me ask you, Ummi, so who initiates this consensus exercise? Is it the candidates or is it the elections board? For example, who decides, all right, so we can see there's more than one candidate here seeking the certificate for governor. We want to have a conversation. Who initiates this process?
Usually, the parties themselves, there's a mediator. There's a third party within the aspirants who encourages mediation, consensus. But as a board, we have what we call our scientific polls. So we see the polls. We see who is doing great, who is lacking behind. And as I said earlier, our intention is to win. So our constitution encourages that the board does whatever it deems fit to ensure that we bag the seats. So we are actually currently almost done with our interviews. We have interviews where we call the aspirants. And if there are 3 or 4 more aspirants in a particular electoral seat, we call them, we interview them, and we see if we can, get to an agreement where the more, stronger party supports the other. And we don't coerce. There's no coercion. It's basically an encouragement. And once they agree is when now we move forward. They sign a consensus form and they go to to publicly to announce that we have actually decided to support so and so because we feel like for us to win, we have to be united.
With the optics and perceptions, is it not that you already have somebody in mind, in line, and we're going through this consensus and negotiating process to make it look dressed and nice, but you already knew from the very beginning who you want to be in that position?
Not really. For UDA, first of all, we live up to the letter D in our abbreviation, democracy. We do not sit somewhere in a boardroom and decide, you know what, we want aspirant A to get the ticket. We are not dictators in any way. So our party uses the scientific polls. This is what instigates this whole process. We do not have a preferred candidate. As NEB Vice Chair Lady, there's no point and time that we have had a meeting and decided, you know what, this is the person we want. So we have to ensure that we get to give the ticket to this particular aspirant. The ground says a lot. For an aspirant, you have to go to the ground as a politician and ensure that you've, won the hearts of the residents and you have won the hearts of the voters. For you to do that, you have to actually go to the ground. So the polls will automatically tell us the results that you are getting from the ground. On the other hand, the results will also tell us that you're doing this basically you're very weak. So for us to front a candidate come the 9th of August, that is like you're digging your own grave. Why should we do that? Our intention is to win. So,
but then, Ummi, okay, there are areas where UDA knows that it's strong, that a candidate that gets the UDA certificate is likely to emerge the winner. There are those areas. And those areas, you also know that you have very many strong candidates who are seeking the party nomination ticket. And so you could drag it along in terms of saying, yeah, we are not going to have this exercise yet, the consensus yet, just buying time to close the window that Fred reminded us of, the time to jump from party to go into an independent. So on the final day, you say, okay, so let's have consensus. We shall give a certificate to so-and-so. And that knocks out the other candidates from jumping ship. So in the end, you shall tell us, oh, it was a scientific poll, which you know how it was conducted. Oh, it was, we listen to the ground. Oh, but then you end up giving, is that likely that you end up giving a candidate of the party leader's choice?
No. That is not going to happen. First of all, we keep singing and saying that, we are going to have free and fair nominations. We are actually implementing that as a board because at no point does, first of all, our party leader is not a member of the National Election Board. He's our flag bearer, he is a visionary bearer, but aside from that, he does not interfere in any way with the work of the National Election Board. For him is to come in from an optics angle where now the aspirants have decided and they have made up their mind that, they have sat down and decided this is the person we are going to support. In our strongholds, we are going the whole 9 yards. We are going to have the primaries, and whoever wins will now represent us come 9th August. So where we're having consensus is not in any way coerced. It's not in any way, forced down the aspirant's throat and told, what, this is the person you prefer. Sometimes communities and aspirants come with their own people and they say, what, we have sat down as a tribe and we've decided that we want this lineup for us to win as a party. So this is our decision. So we welcome that with both hands. Another thing that is wise to also note is that the UDA nominations has actually attracted a lot of interest. We have 30 international observers who will be coming to observe our primaries. And for international bodies to actually have interest in party primaries is a big step for us because UDA is a new party. We all know that. UDA just started about a year ago, and right now where we are, we're close to 8 million members. And that is big because UDA is the government in waiting. Let's be real. Come elections, come August, we are going to take the government, and for us to do that, we have to implement what we're talking about, free and fair. And that is why the international observers are actually here. They're interested because they know once we come in, they need to witness that democracy that we keep singing about.
Ummi, international observers can be invited also. It's not as though they're sitting somewhere waiting to come. I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't ring true to the politics of this country, the way our politics functions. There is no party where the party leader is part of the electoral board. None. If there's a party where the leader is a member of the electoral board, tell me one.
I agree. Majority of the parties.
No, is there a party where the party leader is part of the electoral board?
I wouldn't, me personally, I wouldn't tell you that expressly.
UDA,
yes.
We do not have the party leader as member of
and
the
I'm saying
board.
all the parties that we have.
Neither is the leaders who are coming to you.
Thank
Let
you.
me tell you, for example,
A community has the same leaders. If those leaders are going to UDA and the same leaders are going to Kanu and the same leaders are going to Jubilee, how do we trust which leaders are genuine?
If I may, I personally come from Northeastern. I come from Wajir County. Kanu has already issued certificates for place like Wajir East MP. It has issued certificates for Wajir Township MCA. You see, for us, we have not even printed our certificates. We don't even know how our certificates will look like. When a community
That's not
comes
true.
as a... I come from there. I have seen your
I am a member of Kanu.
Anyway,
That's not
moving
true.
on.
So those are fake.
Moving on, are you saying
Maybe
that
they
they're
issued
fake?
themselves. We don't
Can
know.
we let Ummi finish what she said?
If I may.
Yes.
So for us, UDA, the whole community, and if you look at our social media pages or even the Deputy President's social media, you will see that when I speak of a community endorsing a certain person to be the flag bearer of a certain electoral seat in our community, it is the whole community that comes stands by this particular person. On the other hand, I've seen parties that speak of negotiated democracy and a community supporting, and this aspirant walks in to a political party office alone, or with 2 or 3, his wife or his daughter or his son. You see, that is not a community. It's not a community, led negotiation. It is
So
a
how do you
personal
identify, Ummi, how do you identify that the elders who are coming to UDA are the actual true community elders that are representing the community and not playing a political game?
Good question, Eric. This, for us, for instance, for UDA, is the community chairman. We have a chairman. We have, for instance, an OSC chairman. We have a deputy chairman. We have a women leader who all support and come with this candidate. On the other hand, the same, because a community is led by the chairman, the deputy chair of the tribes, the clans, the sub-clans, they all come together with their candidate to now, for instance, the party headquarters, or even the deputy president, where now, for instance, I'm talking for UDA. But on the other side, the same chairman cannot again go and hold the hand of the aspirant to another party. It's ridiculous. So what happens is they support a particular person, they stand by it, and they all go as a united front.
How do they decide to go to UDA and not Kanu?
They have meetings, and they have meetings under trees, and they actually decide and see the values and the visions of that particular party, because every aspirant has a preferred political party that they want to contest on. But it is the community that decides, you know what, our votes are this much, 100,000. And for us to get something out of this government that is going to come in, we will go with this particular party.
Let me understand this. Northeastern, you have clans, all right? So by the time, let's say we're talking about the seat of the governor, all right? Each clan will have their interests. At what point do you get to a point where these clans arrive at a consensus so that they actually agree and say, or are we saying that we look at the regions and the members of parliament, for instance, their representation is mainly clannish? So that one, the clan getting together to decide, one can actually see. But even within clans, there are sub-clans and their families. It's an intricate web. And the negotiations that take place are also intricate.
Yeah.
Now, help me understand. How do you get consensus, let's say, at a county level, where there are all these clans, with all their diverse interests, determining we are going to support this party as opposed to this party? Because I see a situation where there'll be diversity, but please explain to me.
What happens is that we look at the tyranny of the majority and the tyranny of the minority. And for a particular community to actually win a particular seat, what happens is, for instance, a governor lineup, the county lineup, a governor will come from a different clan. The deputy governor will come from a different clan.
It's negotiated.
Yes, it is negotiated. So your chairman from your particular tribe will come and sit down with this chairman of a particular tribe. So they reach a consensus.
Clan.
Yes, that's the thing.
Yes.
For
You said tribe, I'm calling it clan.
Yeah, but it's
Yes.
all over the country. Look at, if you go to Nyamira, we have the Kuria. The same applies. They're a minority. So what happens? They're brought on board and they're given a certain...
Kuria in Migori.
Korea in Migori,
Yes,
not Nyamira.
Migori.
But just
Yes.
carry on, yes?
Yes.
No, I like what you're saying. You see, what you're describing, Ummi, is now the reality of our politics.
How many would you say UDA has attracted so far? Aspirants.
Aspirants. For MCAs, it will be 30 in Mandera, 30 in Wajir, 30 in Garissa, Northeastern.
So 120.
That is the MCAs. And for governors, that is close to 15 actually, for governors. So we have a total of almost 897 ward MCAs, basically, who will be going for nominations come Thursday this week.
And you're saying that all those nominations are going to take place one day
Yes.
across the
Except
country.
for Nandi, where we had a sad accident and one of our aspirants passed away. So we moved that nomination to the 19th. But the rest, all over, is on the 14th. We are ready. I mean, we cannot be
How are
going
you
for one
prepared
day
to
if we are
deal-
not ready.
How are you prepared to deal with the fallout? Because we've seen this before. I mean, just like CT is saying, the history of our country is that political party primaries fallout.
Yes.
There is likely to be fallout in terms of just people thinking so and so who's more aligned to the party leader or to the people in the National Elections Board has gotten the certificate
Yes.
And they rigged themselves into the certificate.
Yes.
How will you deal with that
Yeah,
follow-up?
Eric, first of all, the law allows us up to the last day for dispute resolution is on the 22nd of this month. And for us, we've scheduled our nominations to be 1 day so that we have that time, that window for our dispute. We have another committee called the Dispute Resolution Committee, which now sits and
Is that time enough?
yes, it's more than enough. It's more than enough. We have a board of 7, and we are more than prepared to ensure that we reach the judgments are delivered before the 22nd, which is the deadline.
Because that means that, it's almost inevitable that there will be those who are not happy with the results. So what happens to them is that they have a very quick time, as Fred has said, until the 8th of May to then register as independents, which we've seen is usually the recourse that many people take. Disappointed at the party level, move and go and join as an independent. How will you deal with that, or is it collateral damage for the process?
Yes. So we are trying the much we can to ensure that we don't have any disputes that will come up from our nominations. That's why we advocate for even the consensus and the negotiated democracy, so that there is no disgruntled aspirant who would come after the 14th and say that this has been an unfair process to me. There'll be, of course, the busybodies who are always known in all the political parties who will cause drama, but the genuine ones will definitely abide by the certificate, because we're going to give interim certificates at that level, that constituency and the county level. So by the time someone is coming to the headquarters, they'll be issued now with the real certificate.
Okay.
I want to thank both of you for joining us for the political party primaries to issue the nomination certificates. We will all be watching and seeing, so how is democracy being practiced at party level? Back to business.
Absolutely.
UDA, which has been there, then has rebranded as UDA, have been very active in the country in the last 1 year. Ummi Bashir is the vice chairperson of the National Elections Board of that political party. Asanteni sana for joining us. As